Hello squirrels and welcome to PPM6TV. Today what it is Audient USB interfaces. Now we all know what they look like. They're kind of like a folded over metal, solidly built thing in a kind of gunmetal grey with a black top and the controls picked out nicely in silver. That's an Audient interface, isn't it? Well, in that case, what's this? Well, this is their new format for affordable interfaces. This is the Evo 4 and there's an Evo 8 and for all I know more Evo interfaces coming. So what's missing, if anything, in their new interfaces? Well, first of all, it's obviously not silver and metal, it's black and plastic. And because it's maybe black and plastic, it doesn't have the weight, it doesn't have the heft of a metal interface. So when you plug your great big XLRs in and your jacks, your full-size jacks, well, it may move around your desktop a bit. Doesn't bother me. Just if you care, buy a big bit of blue tack, stick it to the bottom. Job's a good one. Now, when I say what's missing, to be fair to it, it's only £100, €100, $100 interface. And so the things I'll be mentioning mostly are probably things that aren't on others at $100, so we wouldn't expect them to be there, but let's list them anyway. First, there's analog input. Obviously, there's mic and line on Combi XLRs and full-size jacks for your analog output. There's no digital I/O of any sort on this. At the price, I wouldn't expect any. Secondly, there's no MIDI in and out. Again, on an interface at this price, I wouldn't expect it. And thirdly, there's no internal DSP to give your plugins a boost, but then that's never been Audient's bag. It's not on their bigger interfaces either. One nice thing that's missing is a wall wart power supply. You don't need one. It's USB-C and it's bus powered. Although, of course, that means you don't get an on-off switch, and Audient did make a fuss about putting an on-off switch on their ID44, so you might miss that. But again, I don't think you'll find that on any of the other products either. Front panel, only one headphone output. Again, I don't expect two at this price, and a DI input for your guitar. So around on the front panel, you have a nice arc of white LEDs that show level or encoder position, because the encoder is endless. So you might say, well, could I have level indicators for both channels? Well, of course, it will show both channels when you either channel when you select them on there, and similarly for gain adjustment, selecting either one of those will allow you to adjust the gain individually, but you don't have two separate pots. It does have phantom individually selectable on both channels, and it has this intriguing green button, which is an automatic level set, which seems to work quite well in my experience. It takes a little bit of time to set it, but that's because we live in an impatient world. There's also a software loopback input. In fact, why don't we look at, there's a new software control panel for the Evo 4. Let's have a look at that. The Evo 4 control panel mimics, of course, the controls on your Evo. So if on my hardware I select channel 1 and adjust the gain, then you can see on the control app the thing is mimicked. But actually you get more functionality because, as you can see, you get individual volume controls and indeed individual metering, things I mentioned missing from the hardware. There's also mutes and a link function, which you don't get on the hardware control panel. And if I select the link, what it will do is adjust the volume on channel 2 to match the volume on channel 1. And I suppose at this point I should say on channel 1 I've got the AKG 461, and on channel 2 I've got a Beyerdynamic TG99, so I better give that a little bit more gain. I'll do that directly on the panel. The level set, or the automatic level set, works from here too, and what a good time to have a demonstration of it. So we click the level set, and then the software asks us which of these do we want to select, and I'm going to select channel 1. And then once I've selected it, I hit the icon again, and it turns red, and it flashes red on the surface. And then it does its magic, thinking about how to set the level on channel 1, and eventually it does that. And presumably getting the most volume you can without distortion and keeping noise at a minimum. Well, do you know what? I'm feeling quite confident about that. I think I'll do channel 2 while I'm at it. So here I am in front of the TG99. I'm sneaking in a bit just to see if it will make significant changes. Oh, hang on, I forgot to press the redo button. I keep thinking it's a one-step process when it's a two-step process, and here we are. I think it's I think when it goes back to meter, it's kind of decided, but it hasn't displayed yet. And there we are. I should say the Evo 4 has 58 dB of gain in the mic amps, and I am going to try it, yes, with the SM7B, which needs loads of gain, and that will be in a separate video. It's worth pointing out, though, that there's not an exact lockstep between the control panel and the hardware. So at the moment, I've got channel 1 gain selected on the hardware, and while on here, it would look to me as though I'm going to change, that the encoder is going to change the monitor level, which is on this button here. So I reach out to my encoder on the hardware and I turn it up, but actually it's changing what it thinks is being controlled, which is the gain on channel 1, which is absolutely fine because that's what the hardware is looking at. But if you looked at this panel, you would think that, and in fact, if you did want to change the volume level, you would go to the encoder, and that's absolutely fine. And if you wanted to change the gain of the mic, you'd go over here to the mic level input. There's also a monitor mix function here, which allows you to change between the microphones, the inputs to the device, and to play back from the computer, and I'm going to leave that all the way round there. One further thing worth noting about the monitoring is that the Evo 4 has auto shut off on the main analog outs. That means when headphones are plugged in, your analog outputs will be cut. I wish this was switchable, which apparently it is on the Evo 8, but all in all, it's a very nice interface. It's clearly laid out, easy to use, and it adds real value to the functionality of the Evo 4. So, top marks for Audient there. Well, there you have it, or not quite, because one thing that has changed in the Evo 4 is the mic amps. Now, Audient make a big deal that all their mic amps across their range are based on the same design. Doesn't mean they're the same, but they're based on the same design. Now, I haven't seen that claim for the Evo 4, but I presume it is true. Now, what they have done, though, is in the move from the ID series is lost a couple of dB. This has 58 dB of gain in the mic amps. Now, when you look at Audient's videos, they're always sporting these bad boys. That's a Shure SM7B, and it needs a lot of gain. Will the Evo be enough? Well, I'm going to do a separate video, so hop over and check that out if you're interested. I've enjoyed the Evo 4, and it's my daily driver now for basic stuff, and so I recommend you check it out. Thanks for dropping by. Do subscribe, it does help, and come back soon.